Hey Chiefs Kingdom, Harrison Graham here. Before we get into today's video, like this video if you love the Chiefs. If you're part of the Kingdom, all you got to do, hit that thumbs up icon. Shooting for 500 likes on today's show. Let's get there. The Raiders report got like 800 today, so we got to beat that. Like this video if you love the Chiefs, and if you love Chiefs Kingdom, all you got to do is smash that like button like that, thumbs up, and hey, big show planned, so stay tuned. You're watching the Chiefs Report. I'm your host, Harrison Graham. On today's show, let's take a look at 6 defensive free agents that the Chiefs could still sign before training camp or before week 1 of the NFL season. We'll start at the defensive end, the edge position, Justin Housto, who obviously is someone you guys are very, very familiar with because he played with the Chiefs for a very long time. They released him after 2018. They were switching schemes from 3-4 to 4-3, and I think the Chiefs believe Housto might be done. Well, he actually had 2 very productive years with the Indianapolis Colts over the past couple of years. 19 sacks in 2 seasons. The Chiefs are pretty thin at defensive end after Frank Clark. I know Chris Jones is going to place him there. Oh, and by the way, Frank Clark just got arrested for having an Uzi sitting in his back seat. So we'll see if that turns into a suspension. If it does, you probably need more depth there. Justin Housto, 8 sacks last year, can still get after the quarterback. He's not a great run defender at this point, but you know, in his early 30s, I think he's probably still hungry to chase a Super Bowl. He's Kansas City Chiefs through and through. I think he would itch at the opportunity to return to Kansas City, be a number 2, number 3 pass rusher, and give you 6 to 8 sacks and be a productive player on that side of the football. So hopefully he's a player they consider. And again, with the Frank Clark situation, you just never know. Let's go to Melvin Ingram now. A couple of players we've talked about quite a bit. Ingram did visit with the Chiefs earlier this offseason, but he's taken a lot of visits with teams, and he just will not get signed. I don't know if he's holding out for more money or if there's a medical situation that's not checking out. He did only play in 7 games last year as he dealt with numerous injuries. He had 0 sacks last year as well, which was, not great in his games that he did play in. But the 2 years prior to that, he had 14 total sacks. So, I still think he can be a guy that can go give you 3, 4, 5, 6 sacks in a season. I don't think you want him playing every down. I don't think he's an 80% guy. But pass rushing situations, you bring him in, bring him off the edge, I still think he's got value. You look at his last 4 years, the production just has kind of dwindled, right? 2017, this was still one of the more premier pass rushers in the league. 7 sacks the year after that, 7 in 2019, and then last year in just 7 games only had 0 sacks. Plus, as the injuries have piled up as he's gotten older, he's not the commodity he once was in the National Football League, but that doesn't mean he isn't worth signing. It's possible that when Chris Jones is playing defensive tackle that Taco Charlton is getting a lot of snaps, Michael Dana, Kando, the rookie out of Florida State. There are opportunities at defensive end, in my opinion, so I think they should sign someone. I think signing a defensive end like a Justin Housto, like a Melvin Ingram, can only be valuable. Look, you get them into training camp and they get beat out by some of these unproven young guys, great. That means you brought in good quality veteran competition and these young guys stepped up. Right now, after Frank Clark and when Chris Jones plays defensive end, what do you really have? Michael Dana was okay last year. Taco Charlton was okay before the injury, but those are not proven players. Those are not guys that you would expect to give you 6 or 8 sacks, whereas a guy like Justin Housto might be able to do that for you. Pick a pass rusher between these 2 guys. Type JH for Justin Housto, MI for Melvin Ingram. Get your votes in. I would prefer Housto. He's been able to stay healthy, and he's been more productive in recent years, so I would type my JH on this one. Let's talk KJ Wright. We talked about him on a video recently as I believe FanSide had linked him to the Chiefs. Still remains unsigned, one of the top linebackers left in free agency. And as we've talked about before, after Anthony Hitchens, not really a lot of proven linebackers on this roster. Now, Willie Gay Jr., Nick Bolton, these are young, exciting players that have major potential, and if they reach their potential, they're probably going to be better and more explosive than KJ Wright. But they're unproven. That's the whole thing. Bolton's a rookie. Willie Gay Jr. is a second-year player that didn't get a lot of run last year. In a perfect world, those two guys are ready to rock and roll, and Anthony Hitchens is kind of that veteran leader, and that's your 1-2-3 punch with Ben Neiman as your fourth linebacker. Then you're ready to go. But if you're feeling uncertain about Gay or Bolton, then KJ Wright is a player that, while he's not great in coverage anymore, he's still a solid linebacker. 86 tackles, had 11 TFLs last year, a couple of sacks. He's good in the run game. Did have 10 pass breakups. That's a little bit deceiving, though. His coverage stats were not very good last year, but he's still got some left in the tank. He was productive for Seattle. I think at the right price, he could be worth bringing in if, again, a guy like Nick Bolton or Willie Gay Jr. is not quite ready to go, not quite at the level that you hope those guys are, because, again, ideally, that's your dynamic duo moving forward. Bolton, Gay Jr., Hitchens is, gives you one more solid season here, then he moves on as his contract runs out, and then you just kind of patchwork the rest of your depth chart. But are you ready to roll with these guys this year? That's a question that I don't think we have the answer to yet, which is why KJ Wright is someone that I would consider. The Chiefs Report, hey, we're your number one source of Chiefs news, rumors, and much more Chiefs-related content here on YouTube. So hit that big red button and subscribe. Share that link below with a friend. I encourage you guys. Let's grow the Chiefs Report and make it one of the biggest channels here at Chat Sports. YouTube.com/ChiefsTV. Appreciate the support. Hit that big red button and subscribe. Let's go to the secondary now. Richard Sherman, as we go through some defensive free agent targets, surprisingly still available. I'll be honest. I thought he would be patient. I thought he would take his time, but considering the calendar almost says January and Richard Sherman has not signed with the team, that's surprising to me. I don't know if he just wants to skip all the stuff that veterans, really don't like, which is minicamp, of course, OTAs. I don't know if he just wants to skip out on that stuff and sign late in the process. That could be possible, but hey, I mean, money's pretty dried up. So if he's expecting to go sign for like $6, $7, $8 million somewhere, I think he's going to be looking for a long time because I don't think he's getting that. Bashaud Breeland played better than him last year, and he's going to make like $3 million with the Vikings. So we'll see where Sherman ends up. Now, last year, he wasn't that great either. A, he was hurt a lot, just played in 5 games. B, you look at the coverage stats there, gave up 4 touchdowns in 5 games, only had 1 interception and 1 pass breakup. He was much better in 2019 when he was fully healthy. I hope and think that he can be closer to that version of himself, but at 33 years old, that may not be in the cards for him. He may have, left most of his best football in 2019 and prior to that. I think he's worth bringing in at the right price, and I think that he could help this cornerback position group. But just know we don't have elite Richard Sherman anymore. The Legion of Boom days are a thing of the past. Like this video. Hey, we told you guys before, if you love the Chiefs, but also if you want KC to sign a couple of guys that spent a lot of time together in Seattle, either Sherman, Wright, or both, like the video. Quality veterans that I think that could bring something to the table for the Kansas City Chiefs. Hit that thumbs up icon if you want this team to sign one of these 2 guys. Steven Nelson next up as we make our way through some more players here. He might be the best outside corner still on the market. I know Sherman's the biggest name, but Nelson played better than him last year. Better coverage stats across the board. Probably not going to get paid what he had hoped. The Steelers cut him to clear cap space, and there's just not a lot of free agency money left out there due to the cap lowering with COVID-19 and all of that good stuff. And I think the Chiefs have a question to ask themselves. Can they get by with what they have at corner? I mentioned Nelson's coverage stats a year ago. Pretty good. Definitely above average. Just gave up 58%. Did give up 7 touchdowns. That's a number a little higher than you would want. You'd like to keep that 5 or below. But did have 2 picks. Did have 9 pass breakups. Less than 60%. That's solid. I think that's a number you can live with for a CB2, which is I think what you would bring him to be. Maybe you have him compete with Charvarius Ward for that number 2 spot, as I believe L'Jarius Sneed will be CB1. But I think a player certainly worth looking at if Richard Sherman is not a guy you want to sign. Newsbreak is sponsoring today's show. We want to thank him, and the easiest way to thank them, really, and to help yourself out, is to download their app, chatsports.com/ChiefsNB. That link supports the show, and it redirects you to the App Store on your phone, and you can download Newsbreak, which is syncs up with your zip code in your local area and keeps you up to date with local news. weather, food, pop culture, politics, sports, videos from us here at the Chiefs Report, all aggregated onto one feed. Newsbreak app is great. Newspapers are a thing of the past. Throw those things out. Don't pay your monthly whatever for the Kansas City Star or whatever newspaper you get, because you can read the Kansas City Star on Newsbreak. catsports.com/ChiefsNB. Go ahead and download the Newsbreak app today. Let's talk about one more guy here. Brian Poole, the veteran free agent nickel. He's the best nickel still on the open market. Kind of surprised he's still unsigned as well, as we, again, almost turned to July here. Could sign a team-friendly deal, which is what he may have to do at this point if he wants to play in a winning culture, unlike the New York Jets, who are being guided by that stiff Adam Gase, as my friend Chase Sr. would say. He could come to Kansas City instead, start probably. I think that would happen, and he could chase a Super Bowl ring. And kind of like the last one I posed to you guys in the last player we talked about, in terms of do the Chiefs have enough at corner, is Rashad Fenton ready to be a full-time starter? I think the Chiefs have to answer that question as well. Poole was pretty solid. 64% is a little high, but a good tackler, plays the run pretty well. A couple of interceptions a year ago, had 7 pass breakups. I think he's a worthy starting nickel in today's NFL, which has value because nickel is becoming basically the base defense in the sport today. And you just look at the depth chart. I've mentioned it a couple times. Do the Chiefs have enough here? I love L'Jarius Sneed. I think he's going to be a star. Tarvarius Ward, 2 years ago, played pretty solid. Last year, not very good. How do we feel about him? I'm kind of lukewarm. We'll have to see. Rashad Fenton, I've liked how he plays when he plays. Hasn't played a ton, though, so is he ready for a bigger role? Maybe. Is DeAndre Baker, the former Giants first-round pick, who's still nursing a femur injury, can he come into his own? I don't know. Maybe. Mike Hughes, you traded for him. He's been a bust, so I think one more corner makes a lot of sense. Pick a cornerback that the Chiefs should sign. Type R for Richard Sherman, S for Steven Nelson, B for Brian Poole, R, S, or B. Let us know out of these 3 guys who you think the Chiefs should sign. And just to recap today's defensive free agent targets, all defense obviously, Justin Housto, Melvin Ingram, a couple of defensive ends that I think could help the pass rush. KJ Wright, best off-ball linebacker, still unsigned. And then 3 corners, 2 outside guys, and Richard Sherman and Steven Nelson. And then Brian Poole, the top nickelback on the open market. I think all of these guys are worth taking a look at if you are the Kansas City Chiefs. Before we sign off, name a defensive free agent that the Chiefs should sign. Maybe it's someone I missed. Maybe it's one of the guys that we have linked on today's show. Name a defensive free agent that you guys believe Kansas City should sign before training camp. Subscribe, youtube.com/ChiefsTV. Simple, big red button, daily videos just about Chiefs news, rumors, a whole lot more, weekly mailbags. Hit that big red button. We'll see you soon here on the Chiefs Report.